Hello everybody! Today I want to discuss with you guys something extremely important for college students and for this time of the year, and that is filling out your FAFSA application. So the FAFSA is a free federal student financial aid application, and it's very important to know financial aid when you're deciding which university you want to attend, because you want to know how much money you could receive, such as grants and loans, and even scholarships, before you make that final decision of which university you decide to attend. So there's a few key points I want to discuss with you guys, a few myths I want to debunk, and then I will also go over a couple of books that we do have at the library that you can check out to get more information on filing your FAFSA, and I will also show you where to go to fill out the FAFSA. So this is a video about filling out your FAFSA, where to go, and why that you need to actually do it. So first I want to discuss a couple of key points, and the first one I want to discuss is deadlines and which ones you need to actually use. So when you go to the website, there will be two FAFSA documents that you can work on. They will say that there's a 2020 to 2021 option and then a 2021 to 2022 option. Because the college academic school year is from fall to summer, then that will determine which application that you actually do. So if you're just not taking summer classes this year and you're just going to start in the fall, then you need to fill out the 2021 to 2022 application. Now, if you're going to do summer classes this year, as in 2021, then you need to fill out the FAFSA from last year, which is the 2020 to 2021 application. But you also will need to do the one for this year as well. So you have to do both the 2020 2021 and the 21 to 22 applications. And once you do it once, they now have a very nifty thing on there where you can just do a renewal, and that way all your information will transfer over to the next FAFSA and you don't have to re-plug in all your information. The other thing that I was going to mention was the deadline, and if you just Google the FAFSA, it will tell you a general deadline, which is in June. However, that really applies mainly to students that are already in college. So if you're a sophomore up, your deadline is most likely can be June. But if you're an incoming freshman, majority of the time your deadline to fill out your FAFSA is actually a lot sooner than June. You need to go and look at your university website that you're applying to, because they will list a separate deadline on that. The reason why the deadline is sooner is because they want to inform you of a financial aid package they can give you or offer you when they tell you you were accepted into the university. You really want to know how much financial aid you will be receiving before you make that final decision to accept a school, because you don't want to accept a university and then find out that you didn't receive enough student aid to attend that university, or you might decide that one school offers a better deal than another, and that's very crucial in deciding which university you end up attending. So this is why you need to fill out your FAFSA actually before June, because most of the incoming freshmen, you will be receiving your acceptance letters towards the end of April, early May. So most schools will have the deadline before that, so they can provide the financial aid package with the acceptance letter. And in case you were wondering, well, what about if I'm not accepted into the school? That doesn't mean you can't fill out the FAFSA for them. the FAFSA actually has 10 spots of schools that you can list that you apply to. So whether or not you are accepted into a school or not, you can list them and say, I am considering going to this school, and they will send the FAFSA information to that school anyways. So you do not have to wait to get accepted before applying for financial aid and filling out your FAFSA. So there's a few myths I want to debunk real quick. And the number one myth is that the FAFSA is only for the lower class or low income families, and that's honestly not the case at all. Yes, the FAFSA does look into the income of your family and of yourself or spouse, but in actuality, they do look at more than just how much money that your parents are bringing home, and most people end up qualifying for some type of aid. It may not be as much as some people, but you could still get a little bit of federal student aid towards your university. So that's very important to actually do. So don't worry about what income that your family brings home. Just go ahead and apply for the FAFSA anyways, because you will probably receive at least a little bit of money, and that will go a long way rather than you having to pay everything for the university out of pocket. Another thing is that people believe that they need to have good grades to actually apply for the FAFSA. The FAFSA does not ask for any of your grades like colleges do. They do not ask for your transcripts. They don't want any of that type of information. So whether or not you are a top A student or you are struggling in classes, you can still fill out the FAFSA, and they don't use that to determine how much financial aid you could receive. So that's also very important to note. You do not have to have good grades to fill out the FAFSA. They don't look at that. They do look at that for academic scholarships, but that is through the university. That has nothing to do with filling out the FAFSA. And the last myth I want to discuss is that once you fill out the FAFSA, you may think that the people that look over your FAFSA and send it out to schools will know how much money you will receive from the university, and it's not true. They just offer the opportunity to have this platform where you can list all the information to apply for federal student aid, and they will send that information to each school. It's actually that school, that college, that decides how much financial aid you will receive. So it's really the universities will know. So when you get accepted and you filled out your FAFSA, but you didn't find out anything about financial aid, then you can contact your university to find out more about the financial aid package and whether you receive grants or loans or scholarship options. So you do not have to call the FAFSA people about how much money you will be receiving. That is something that only that university you apply to actually knows. And for a final reminder, this has to be done annually. So every year around the same time, you should fill out the FAFSA for the upcoming academic school year all the way until you're actually done. Even if you're only doing one semester or 1 or 2 summer classes, you should still fill out the FAFSA for that academic year. So I want to discuss a couple of books real quickly that we have at the library. So this is a really good guide. It's called Graduating College Debt Free, and we all would like to have that debt-free life. And in it, it actually has an entire chapter about the FAFSA and grants, so it breaks down the information even further than what I'm doing. It also provides other tips about how to graduate debt-free or how to lower your debt if you do receive loans from the federal and state levels. So this is a really good guide to look into and look at because it does break down financial aid skills and strategies for you. Another one is paying for college without going broke. Even though this is the 2015 edition, a lot of the information is actually still the same, or it's very similar to what's going on today. So this is still a really good guide to look at and review. It will help you figure out how to pay less for college. It will break down the FAFSA even further for you, which is very important. It even goes line by line on what each line in the FAFSA actually means and what they actually want from you. And if you want something that is honestly up to date, there is this book called How to Get Money for College. And as you see, it says here for the 2021 edition. Even though most of the years are pretty much will provide the same information, if you want something that is about this academic year, then this is the one to check out for you. It will also discuss the FAFSA, and it will also discuss scholarship and grants and many opportunities for additional aid, because there's more than just that you can receive or get to pay for your university or college tuition and housing. So it breaks down a lot of information. As you can see, it's pretty thick, but there is, of course, a table of contents in the front, so you can just look at that and decide what information you really want to know, and then you can go to that page. You don't have to actually read the whole thing to get all the information because it looks a little intimidating, but it's really not. It's not that bad. And filing for the FAFSA is not that bad either. It's honestly a very quick process, and even while you're filling it out, they will give you guidelines for what they actually want you to say, what they want you to answer. So all of those things are like really good points about the FAFSA and why you should fill it out, because it's a free application to do online. Honestly, it's usually within less than an hour for you to actually fill it out, and it doesn't cause any harm to you. So even if you're one of the very few that might not receive that much aid, it's better to fill it out and receive a little bit than none at all. So that's something to really consider. Like, you should just fill out this free application to potentially get free money from the government to help you go to university. They want you to succeed. They don't want you to not be able to go to university because of financial aid reasonings. So filling out the FAFSA is very important for everybody, not just low income, to fill out, because you can get aid and assistance regardless of income. Now, I want to actually show you where to go. So you can break out your laptop. You can try to do this on your tablet, and you can follow side by side a few of the steps that I'm going to show you, or you can take notes and then do it later. But I have a tiny laptop here, and we're just going to break down a couple of the informations and where to go and how to start filing for your FAFSA. It'll be really quick, I promise. It's just a very short tutorial. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and you'll see my screen. I will just show you the screen, and I will show you the steps through that, and then we'll come right back. Hi! So I'm going to give you a quick tutorial on where to go to fill out your FAFSA. So you're just going to go to Chrome or Firefox, whatever you use, and you're going to type in FAFSA. That is spelled FAFSA. And the first one that pops up, Federal Student Aid, apply for financial aid, that is the one we're clicking on. And this is the screen that it should show if you're at the correct place. So if you're a returning user, then you can just go ahead and log in. You can correct past information from previous FAFSAs, or you can add on schools. You can renew your FAFSA, things like that. You can also view your student aid report, which is important to check every so often. But for this tutorial, I'm going to talk to mainly the new incoming freshmen on what to do. So you're just going to click Start here. So this is the screen that it will show. I highly recommend, if you are the student going to this college or university, that you fill out the FAFSA. It's better for you to know what's going on dealing with federal aid than your parents, but if that can't be the case and you do need a parent or guardian to fill it out, they can fill it out for you, and that's when they choose the I am a parent or a preparer, the guardian, someone like that, a student from a freely associated states, something along those lines, and then you fill in that information there. But for this case, I'm going to say that I am the student, and it's going to show the login information, even though you did say that you were new. That's perfectly fine. All you have to do is go here to it says create one. So you need to create an FSA ID to log in. So you click create one. And here it briefly tells you what this account will be used for and all the things that you will need to create this account. So you'll need your social security number and either your cell phone number or email address. I recommend using both, but if you had to choose, go with the email address. And then you click Get Started. And it's 7 steps. It walks you through every step. The first one is just personal information. You do need to use your legal name, so not just the name that you go by. And if you have any questions whatsoever, all you have to do is click the little question mark, and it will explain to you what they really mean by that question or the information they want you to plug in. Because I have already filled out a FAFSA before and I have an FSA ID, I'm just going to go back to the login section and log in. But for you guys that have not done so, just go through all of the steps. It's quite easy. It does not take that long. And of course, when you have your password ready, write it down somewhere and that you don't lose it, because you do need to fill out your FAFSA every year that you're at college. So that is a very important password to keep. So we're going to go back here to where you log in. Even though it says that you can use your FSA ID, I'm going to be honest, sometimes I don't remember it, so I use my email address most of the time. So let me do that real quickly and type in my password. Then I click next. You should read this warning and you can decline it, but I do believe you have to actually accept it to actually apply for this FAFSA. I have read this before because it does pop up, I believe, every time you fill out your FAFSA. So I've read this, which is why I'm going to go ahead and click accept. But if you haven't, I recommend you just read through it. And this is the screen that will appear to you. It should say your name, and then it will show you two options. So this is very important here. If you are going to start classes this summer and not this fall, you need to fill out the 2020 to 2021 FAFSA, because the student years, how they do academic years at the colleges, they consider it from the fall to the summer. So summer 2021 goes under the FAFSA for 2020 to 2021. So you would need to click on that, and it will show here, unlike what mine is showing now, that you can start a new one, and you would click that and you would follow all of the steps to do so. If you have already filled it out before, for example, you took a mini gap semester or something along those lines, you can still go back into it and make corrections, or you can add a new school if you did transfer schools. So that's also important. If you are a new transfer student, you do need to go back to your FAFSA and say what school you are now attending. And you can do that by going here to make FAFSA corrections. And you can do this throughout the whole academic year, so you don't have to just wait till it's the typical time for FAFSA to correct a FAFSA. But if you're starting the new FAFSA for the new academic year, so for the upcoming fall semester, which is when most of you will be starting for the first time, so fall 2021, then you do need to go to that one, and it will say start new FAFSA, or if you did a previous FAFSA before, it will say FAFSA renewal, and that will just bring over information from your previous FAFSA. If it's basically the same thing, you just quickly read through everything, check everything, and make sure it's still the same. It's a lot quicker than just starting a whole new FAFSA. But if you are one that has to start a new FAFSA, that's perfectly fine. Usually you can't start the new academic year FAFSA until the fall of the previous year. So you could have started this in the fall of 2020, but it's a little too early to submit it then, in my honest opinion, because usually you haven't even sent out applications to colleges by this point. But you can start it then. And it will say there's a general deadline for you to do it by June of 2021 for this academic year. But if you're an incoming freshman, you do need to start it sooner than that, because most colleges actually want you to complete your FAFSA in the springtime before you even get your acceptance letter, so they can give you an idea of what financial aid you will receive. So all you will do there is click Start New FAFSA, and you'll create a save key, and this will just help for you to sign your documents later on, and this will also help you to save a document in case you cannot finish your FAFSA all in one sitting. You can save it and go back to it later at another day. I do believe they save the information up to 45 days before you officially submit it. So you have some time once you start and when you need to finish it. But it's usually better to just sit down and complete it then. So you'll type in a save key and you re-enter it, and then you'll click next. And that's when you will start filling out all of your information. So you should have
your social security number or registration number. If you're not a U.S. citizen, you should have your finance documents, such as tax documents, and you may need them from your parents, or if you're married, your spouse. So those are things that you do need to have on hand when you fill out your forms. And that's going to be the end of the tutorial for today, because the next part will show you personal information of mine, and that will not be useful for you because it will not actually tell you anything about your own personal financial aid. So from there, you just go ahead and fill out the FAFSA, submit it to up to 10 schools. You do not have to have an acceptance letter yet to fill out your FAFSA, so I highly recommend you do it very soon, whether or not you have been accepted to these schools. And it honestly will not take that long. It usually takes an hour or less, depending on how you answer things. And just like with the login, we're creating a login. If you have questions, there will be the little question mark next to every little line. And that's all of the important information that you will need to know about the FAFSA. It's honestly a really good thing to fill out, so I would highly recommend that you do that as soon as possible.
So those are the steps on filling out the FAFSA. That's where to go. Like, it's really not that bad at all. I have done it several times, so it's really not that bad. And I have been a dependent student, and I've also become an independent student. And either way, I have received some type of aid by doing so. So don't let that stop you either. So that's a few tips, key points, myths that were debunked, and a little bit of guidance on where to go to fill out your FAFSA and why you should do so. I wish every single one of you seniors good luck into getting into the university that you really want to. Hopefully you'll enjoy your first time at university. Freshman years are always very unique, whether it will be virtual or in person. I wish you all good luck, and don't forget to fill out that free application for your FAFSA. If you have any more information or questions that you want to ask, you can go to your local library to get some books on filling out the FAFSA and getting financial aid. And you can also go to the university website to get more information as well. So I hope this video was very helpful for you guys, and that you will also have a very simple process of doing it as well. Good luck with your applications. Bye.